Welcome back to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm your host, Adam Bird. Folks, I got a great interview lined up for you today. I'm so excited about this interview. My guest today is somebody who I've recently met. You know how you meet somebody and then you're just kind of like, that was odd? Not odd in a bad way, like odd in a sense of like, I've known this person the majority of my life. Like there's that connection where you just feel comfortable talking to that person. And if you've known me for a while, it's fucking weird, right? Yep, it's this going to be this kind of show. I'm already dropping the F-bombs this early in the show. I absolutely love this person already. She is a licensed psychologist, founder of Tampa Consulting and Wellness. She works with veterans all over the country. She helps them make sense of their mental health struggles and teaches them kind of how to tell their story more clearly. And finally, she also helps them get the benefits that they deserve. Right? Now you guys know why we love her so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Saarah Nicolas. Saarah, Doc, how you doing?
Thanks for having me, Adam.
I appreciate you jumping on. Yeah. Let's dive into this. You and I recently met through a mutual friend. Mm-hmm. And let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Sure. So I am a psychologist by trade, but I am a down-to-earth crazy chick by night. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
I am the proud daughter of a U.S. Air Force veteran.
Nice. And
I worked for a long time in the VA system. I decided that I wanted to work in the VA probably because, coming from a family where we had a veteran in the house, I always had that affiliation, and maybe it was a part of like wanting to fix myself, fix my family, like that, like psychologists always trying to do in the background.
Yeah.
But I had a passion for working with people who struggled with trauma.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work with the people who had the most vulnerable situations. And so I decided to work in military sexual trauma. That was my passion. It still is my passion, honestly, to a big extent.
Wow.
And so I decided that I wanted to work at the Bay Pines VA in Tampa. They have a huge trauma psychology program for MST specifically. And that's where I started my internship. That's where I did my postdoc. And that's where I did my first staff position because I was just so passionate about it. Absolutely loved it. Worked in another VA over Tampa, needed a break for a while because I got a little burnt out. But honestly, veterans is where it feels like home. Working with veterans feels like home to me. And so now I do it in private practice at Tampa Counseling and Wellness.
That's a lot to take in here. So first off, thank you for what you do. Your passion behind this, I get you got your father was an Air Force veteran, so you grew up a military brat.
Mm-hmm.
When would you say, at what age did the passion really start that you wanted to, like you knew this was the path that God wanted you to go down?
Honestly, super duper young.
Really?
I remember when, you know how they do those science fairs in middle school?
Yeah.
When people were like building volcanoes, I was telling my dad, I want you to drink 3 beers and take this IQ test and see, and see if your IQ is worse when you've had a couple. I'm not even kidding. And so that kind of stuff always fascinated me. And actually it followed me all the way into my dissertation. I did my dissertation on substance use.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah. And so I've always had a passion for this. Yeah. So I was one of those really lucky people that essentially just found my passion super young. When I was 16, I was like, I want to be a psychologist. And I wrote it all the way to the top. I never faltered.
That's really cool. Now, so how many years have you been doing this then, total?
How many years? Well, I always say I went into grad school around 2010. So I've been in the game for about, I was over a decade for sure.
Jeez.
I did my internship at the VA in 2015. So about 10 years officially as a licensed psychologist.
Nice. What would you say is the hardest part of what you do?
The hardest part of what I do. I would say honestly, the hardest part of what I do is writing notes because I freaking hate paperwork. But talking with people
Yeah.
is the easy part. Hearing their stories, like holding space for pain, that's the easy part for me. That's my
Really?
passion. There's nothing hard about that for me. Even when people are in their hardest, deepest, darkest space, that's the place where I feel like I thrive because I can meet people right where they are.
So when somebody's talking, are you like a visionary then type person where you like visualize when they're saying something, you like are like right there with it and you're like visualizing it with them?
Visualizing everything, which is really difficult when you're doing sexual trauma work because you
Yeah.
really are kind of like in it, visualizing it all. But I'm the type of person that my empathy meter is really strong.
Yeah.
And so I'm there feeling it with the person, but I always tell folks when we're doing trauma work together, it's like, listen, the goal of this is for you to habituate to the story, for it not to like jar you so much when you tell it. And so we're going on that journey together, right? And so the thing is that like even if I'm feeling it then, we're both going to habituate to the story together, right? And so the person feels like they have somebody like right there with them along the way.
Does it ever get to a point for you that when you're helping somebody go through their trauma that it just like weighs heavy on you because you're working with so many people on it? Does that ever happen to you?
It did early in my career. When I first became a staff psychologist at the Bay Pines VA, the first veteran that was my official first veteran as a licensed psychologist, that was probably one of the rougher stories I've ever heard. I won't talk
Yeah,
about the details, of course,
no.
but it was rough.
Yeah.
And that one stuck with me for a while. It's not the stories are hard, but it's the suffering of someone you grow to care about that's the harder part, right?
Yeah.
And luckily he made really great strides. He made really great strides in that time. But that stuck with me while it was going on. But when someone comes into therapy with a really difficult story, I get excited. And it's not excited for the story. Obviously, that's the really hard part. But I know what they're going to be like on the other side of this.
Ah, okay. So
And I know how I'm going to help them. When they're telling the story, I can already tell like where they're stuck
yeah.
and where I need to take them. And so I get excited about like, I can't wait to share what I need to share. I can't wait to guide this person on this journey to help them get unstuck. Because I know, and I've seen it 100 times, the difference when someone can hold a different perspective on the things that have happened to them.
So can you share with us then like some of the like techniques or I don't want to say like secrets of what you do to like ninja them into helping them deal with or even overcome the process? I mean, can you share some of that stuff with us?
Sure, absolutely. So during my time in the VA, I was trained in two particular trauma modalities called cognitive processing therapy and prolonged exposure. And I also was trained in dialectical behavior therapy.
Okay.
And the one that I love the most is cognitive processing therapy because I always say the king of trauma, of holding trauma in your life, the king is self blame. Most people blame themselves, and that's what keeps them stuck in the loop. I shouldn't have done this. If I had only done this, this wouldn't have happened. They get stuck in that loop of blaming themselves over and over again. And what could I have done differently so that this trauma didn't happen? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so cognitive processing therapy really targets like how much control, you and I were talking about control before, before we started, how much control did I really have over this situation?
Yeah.
And when someone is able to really realize just how random the world is, right, that can really help. Now, if self-blame is the king, I would say the queen, they may go hand in hand, is avoidance, right? So avoiding the grocery store, avoiding talking about it, avoiding being around the people you love, just avoidance, avoidance, avoidance. And so the prolonged exposure really helps with avoidance, right? So we're taught to approach the things that we're afraid of, because when we approach the things that we're afraid of, our minds really realize, oh, I'm not back where I was in that trauma situation. I'm not there. I'm here. I'm safe. Right. And so the goal is to help the person really realize that they're safe now. And that's why we tell the story over and over and over again. That's why I tell them we're going to habituate to this story together. And habituation means like we're going to get comfortable with this story together. And over time, they really realize it's just a story now. And by just a story, obviously, it's this crazy impactful thing for the person, but it's something that we can put a little space between you and the thing that happened to you so that you can have more perspective on it. And so that it's not something that like has you crawling out of your skin every time you talk about it.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that right there, talking about it. So does it come to a point then that the more the person talks about it, how do I say this? I don't know how to say this, but like it gradually gets easier for them to deal with what happened in the past.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I always say we're only as sick as our deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say next, because it's like I start thinking about like past experiences and stuff and how I've dealt with stuff, and I realized it on my own that it was like, you know what, the more I started talking about it and sharing it, one, I came to realize that there was other people that had, had gone through it. I wasn't doing it alone. When you realize that you're shutting people out of your life and that you don't necessarily need to. And I think on a personal level, for me, it was family members were trying to understand. And it was always like, you're never going to understand this and that. And they're like, well, help us understand. And it was like, why do you want to understand? I don't want anybody to, it was almost like I was becoming a burden on people. And that's simply not the case. So those of you that are listening to this out there, actually, this is a good time to go into that. How can people reach out to you? Let's do that right now. How can, because we have a lot of veterans that listen to the show. And if somebody's out there listening that needs help or wants to reach out, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So we have amazing therapists at Tampa Counseling and Wellness. And while we serve all types of folks in Tampa, we specialize in treating veterans. That's our specialty population that we care about and that we really tailor ourselves to. And so most of our psychologists and our therapists are trauma trained in some way, shape, or form. If someone wanted to reach out to us, they can reach out to tampacounselingandwellness.com, or they can just Google Tampa Counseling and Wellness. And if they give us a call, Ellen, she's the most awesome, sweet administrative lady. She'll answer the phone and get you set up.
Now you say I know you're in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Do you help if somebody's listening, because we got a lot of people all over the country, if they're not in the Tampa area, can you connect them with somebody in their area, or can you still work with them if they're not in Tampa?
Yeah, so myself and some of our psychologists are what we call PSYPAC certified. So they are able to see folks in about 42 different states. And so we have our therapy side, but we also have our benefits side. And so we help veterans with mental health disability benefits as well. So if somebody wants to come in for therapy, we can help with that. But we can certainly help folks. We do free consultations. If you are just wondering if you are even eligible for a mental health disability, give us a call and we'll help you through that process and let you know if that's something that you could potentially go for.
All right. So folks, we're going to have the website in the show notes below, but if you're listening to this right now, you're already online. So just open up another browser. It's easy. Tampa Counseling Wellness is tampacounselingandwellness.com.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's get back into this, because this is just absolutely fascinating. Like the different techniques and stuff like that. So you talk about that technique there. And I'm thinking about just, again, past stuff and dealing with stuff. This is such I think mental health was such a taboo topic for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I think I think the reason of that is because we were taught in the military that, if you have an issue or whatnot, that could take you off of a certain assignment, or that could prevent you from moving forward, or, I see this a lot with like the special operations community and stuff like that. You being in Tampa, no, with MacDill being right there. I see a lot of Navy SEALs. I got a friend of mine that's a show host, and they used to live that life, and it was taboo. You didn't want to say that you had any mental health issues because it was a career ender.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the hardest barrier I've found for the folks that I work with, is that they take so long to come into therapy because of that taboo. It's part of military culture not to talk about your problems. Right.
But here's and I'm glad you said that, because I think if you break this down, the military spends so much money on you training, and if you have somebody that's a tier 1 operator, let's say, that's the millions and millions of dollars go into training that person, equipment, all this other stuff, right? And if they come back and they have some type of PTS or PTSD or whatever, right? Wouldn't it behoove you to invest that time back into them to get them right, so you can make them operational? You've already spent all that money on them. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you're saying, I just think that we're not. I think it would be easier to, like, hey, if you're having issues, let's go talk about it. Let's go to the side. Let's talk about it. Let's address the issues now. So then when you get to like retirement, or you ETS out of the military, then you've already got a one up on every other veteran that's ETSing or retiring out of the military, because you've had that training.
Absolutely. Or there's so many veterans who could have stayed in the military longer, if they were able to have gotten help.
Yeah.
And people think, there's this common misconception that you kind of sit on a chair and talk about your problems. Like, it's a very methodical, I mean, that is a part of it, but It's a very methodical thing that I have helped veterans overcome their PTSD in 6 to 8 weeks. Right. And so it's not this thing that can take years and years and years. It's something that your symptoms can come down in a relatively short amount of time, if you are able to get an evidence-based treatment that really works.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it a cure for PTSD, or is it just a way for them to like recognize it and handle it on a much level where it's not affecting them to where they're like, I've seen some people where, like, okay, they have severe PTSD, and when they hit that mark, they shut down, and they'll go sit in the dark for 3-4 days and be complete, like they're like the world's dead to them. They are alone. And then there are ones that still have PTSD, but they recognize when those symptoms are starting to come on, and now they have the tools that's like, okay, wait a minute, I see what's going on here, right? And I recognize I'm about to go to a place that I don't want to go.
Right.
I recognize that, and they're able to deal with it so it doesn't get to that extreme.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I wouldn't say that there's a specific cure, right? I mean, some people, if their PTSD isn't very, very bad, because obviously there are grades of it,
right?
Some people are like almost go into complete remission, right? For folks who are struggling a lot and have really severe PTSD, I would say it's more coping, but we can get somebody from being in a place where they're shut out in a room for 3 days and get them to a place where they recognize what's going on, know when they need to reach out, know when they need to reframe the way they think about things, know when they need to connect with the people around them versus hiding away. Absolutely. It's coping, because you don't forget those things, right? We're not going to give you a lobotomy and tell you, okay, you never think about that again. But it can be to a place where it doesn't feel so close to you.
Right.
It doesn't feel like something that's debilitating to you. We can remit flashbacks. We can remit really severe reactions that come with PTSD. It's like it can be a chronic illness for folks who have it severely, right? So similar to back pain, where it's like, we're not curing your back pain by giving you a shot. It's something that you cope with well over time by exercising, by doing different things. And it becomes easier to live with.
I love that. I hope you guys are paying attention. Saarah, let's transition a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Tampa Counseling and Wellness.
Sure.
You've talked a lot about when you first starting off at the VA. When did Tampa Counseling and Wellness, were you like, just wake up one morning and you're like, hey, I'm gonna open up my own practice. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it right here. This is what we're gonna do. Yada yada. Like, walk us through, how did that come to fruition?
Sure. So I actually didn't start Tampa Counseling and Wellness. I took it over.
Okay.
Right. And I took it over from Dr. Garcia, who's our shared friend.
Yeah.
And Dr. Garcia initially began Tampa Counseling and Wellness. And we were friends for a long time. And he's an amazing speaker. If anybody ever has the opportunity to hear him speak, he'll bring you to tears, that guy.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
But he was moving out of private practice. At that point, I was in the corporate sector,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was only doing corporate and supervising about 34 providers. And I knew that he was doing work with veterans. And so that was appealing to me. But he was talking about leaving the practice. And I said, you know what? I wasn't feeling the passion that I felt when I was at the VA in the corporate sector, and I wanted that again.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel that passion for my work again. And I said, you know what? I think that this is something I could do. I started doing a couple of consultation calls for the benefits because I was just starting off. I was like, I'll do some benefits work, some mental health evaluations for you. And being on those calls, I felt like I was right back in it, and I loved it. Just the veterans are so grateful. There's such a grateful population of people to work with because they need the help.
Yeah.
And when you're able to say, yes, I can help you, I'm confident that we can change your life through these life-changing benefits. And obviously there are no guarantees, but I think you have a good case. I think that, if you have a mental health evaluation with us, we can like make a strong case for you. It ignited something in me and made me feel much more fulfilled than I was feeling in the corporate sector. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so essentially I've taken over the practice from Dr. Garcia, and with every veteran I've spoken to, it's genuinely motivated me to like put this thing on steroids and just take it to the moon.
I love all of this right now. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
On that. And thank you for what you do. As a
Thank
vet
you.
myself, I absolutely love it. And I've said this to you often. I absolutely love what you do and believe in what you're doing. And you're doing God's work, that's for sure. Because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of vets out there that just, I think, fight the system for so long to just get something from their benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be like that. and there's people like you out there that are putting in the work, making sure that the veterans are taken care of. So let's talk a little bit about how you got started in the mental health. Like, explain that to me. I don't understand. Like, so you do an evaluation and then you help the veterans submit that to the VA for benefits. Is that how that works, or can you walk us through that process a little bit?
Sure. So we're not claims consultants, right? So we really don't do the claims part.
Okay.
We do the mental health evaluation part. And so when a veteran calls us, we first say, do you have mental health struggles? Is that something that you're struggling with?
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that they're wanting a mental health claim in the first place.
Right.
Then once we do that, we ask them a line of questions just to see what kind of claim they're wanting to do. Most people, which is a big, huge thing that if your listeners are listening, if you struggle with chronic pain and your mental health is struggling because you have chronic pain, you should see if you are eligible for mental health benefits. And if you're service connected for chronic pain, back issues, headaches, tinnitus, because the amount of people who your body takes a hit when you're in the military,
Mm-hmm.
as you probably well know. And it impacts over time, it impacts your mental health. that constant stress on your body,
Yeah.
it becomes a constant stress on your mind.
Right.
And so many times we have folks call in, they're already service connected for chronic pain, sleep apnea, tinnitus, and we see if they have mental health struggles. And if they do, we help them and we evaluate them and see how it's impacting their family. Obviously, you know, they have irritability. If they have chronic pain, like irritability is in the name of the game. And you fight with your friends, you fight with your family, you fight with your kids, you know, and you fight with the guy on the street at the light that didn't go far enough, right? So it impacts your life, it impacts your work. And so we put together what I call a quality evaluation, right? We're going to put together the timelines, make sure that things are lining up the way they do line up. And essentially we put a medical lens on the veteran's lived experience. And so they can submit that evaluation to the VA so the VA can see how those things are connected. And of course, we help people with non-combat PTSD, MST claims. You have to, if you have a combat claim, you have to go through the VA first, but we help people with increases if they didn't feel like they got a fair shake from the VA evaluator as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I know some of you heard that. What else?
There is something I do want to say to that, in that accord, Adam. I think one of the barriers that really veterans struggle with when it comes to mental health claims is they don't feel like they deserve it. Right? They don't feel like they deserve the claim. And
why
because
is that?
Maybe they didn't go to war.
Okay.
Maybe if they did go to war, the other guy had a worse experience than them. They're comparing themselves to their buddies. And I let them know that you gave your body, you gave your mind, you gave all of yourself, your family to this cause, and now you're struggling. There's a reason these benefits are available to you. And so I would worry less about that and just come and get a consultation to see if you're eligible for it.
I think what we're talking about is pride.
Pride.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want you to listen to me very closely right now. Put your damn pride aside and don't compare yourself to other veterans. Doesn't matter. You signed on the dotted line. These benefits are here. Use them. They're not a benefit unless you use them. They're there for a reason. Use them. Adam, I don't need to do that. I'm fine. I'm this. I'm that. Shut up. That's your pride getting in the way. And I can say that because that was me for the longest time.
Yeah.
Put your pride
and it impacts
aside.
your earning power over time, right? And it gives people the space that they need to heal also.
Yeah.
Because the suicide rate from PTSD, if we're going to even go there, is really intense, really strong. But chronic pain is another big indicator, right? That's one of the biggest risks. When I know that somebody has really, really serious chronic pain, their risk for suicide goes up. And so for me, it's not a joke thing. If you strained your back, if you had what they call lumbar sacral issues, even things with sinuses, those things are excruciating and give you complete tunnel vision. And so it's not a small thing that I'm saying here.
No. And it's kind of punching me in the gut. And I've been dealing with this stuff for the longest time. If you're listening and you have chronic pain, don't look at it like, oh, I just got chronic pain, this and that, and you don't want to like you're shoving it aside or just getting the shots or this and that. Listen, it will eventually take a mental toll on you, and it's going to mentally drain you if you don't do anything about it. And then if you don't do anything about it, God forbid, you do the next thing, which is the worst thing, and decide, you know what, there's nothing else to live for. And I'm telling you, you got a lot to live for. With the pain and everything. Because that's manageable. There's ways to fix that.
Right.
You know, there's no, don't, oh God. I think people lose hope.
They do.
And
They do.
It's, oh shit, Sarah. I take it personally when somebody or a veteran takes the step and thinks that there's no other way. Like it's infuriating to me, to the point where I take it personally, because it's like, dude, like, why? Like, I get life can be tough sometimes, but like there's so much more to live for, and there's so many people. And here's the thing: we get so wrapped up in our own dark space when you're there, that you feel like I felt this way. I'll be the first. I'm throwing myself under the bus, and I don't do this very often, but I'm gonna do it here. I think it's appropriate. Like, I've been there. I've been to those dark places where you're just like, fuck everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming. And I was a single parent for 15. I have said this before, that the reason I'm here today is because of my son. My son I focused so much on him, like he gave me something to live for. Cool.
Amazing.
Then it was, how can I help others? That was where I felt good, knowing that I helped somebody else get where they wanted to go. You know, they found a job, or they, bought a house, or they got their benefit, whatever the case is. I made somebody smile today. Like that, for me, that was fulfilling. So it was like, okay, I'm going to focus my life on doing stuff to help others, because that's what makes me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all want connection at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what happens is that, like, folks, like we were talking about burden, they feel like they're a burden.
Yeah.
Right. When their family members are right there wanting to love them, because it becomes this mindset, for all the things in the military, it's an amazing place to build community. Right. You can feel very close to people, especially like if you go to war with somebody, like that's intense. Like there's a bond there that is
Right.
unlike any other bond. And then you come back to this place where no one really understands what you've gone through. Maybe the person you feel most bonded to is on the other side of the country now.
And that's the other thing. I want to say something here. It's like, we're talking that right there. Communication is key there in that aspect of it. Like, well, I'm in the military and I PCS to a different unit, and I did this and I did that, or whatever. That doesn't. Listen, everybody's got these freaking computers in their pockets. Keep in touch with people that you've served with and stuff like that. I for the longest time, I kind of shied away from that. I've got guys now that I've served with that I haven't seen in 22 years. But social media and I hate social media. Anybody has, like, I hate social media. But that's the one thing I'll say that's cool about it, is it allows you to keep in touch with people that you haven't seen in a long time. And
yeah, completely. Absolutely. My best friend lives in Louisiana. She's actually one of our evaluators. She's an amazing person. And we talk every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's there. But for folks, when that isolation hits, that's one of the biggest things I see that when people are struggling with. And so, one of the biggest things is, like, you got to, like, find that one person that you trust and start talking to them.
Yeah.
Right. Find that, if you don't trust anybody, find the person you trust the most.
Or get involved.
Start talking to them.
Get involved in your community.
Get involved in your community.
Get involved in something, and whether it's veteran based or non-veteran based. Get involved with a nonprofit organization. Get involved with your community based organizations. Just get out of the damn house.
Right.
Get out. Don't isolate yourself from the world. Worst thing you do. And I was like, oh, I'm an introvert. Yeah, become an extrovert for an hour a week. Start there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, get out and do something.
Yeah, or go to your VA, go to your private provider, and get some mental health. Most people who struggle with suicidality never even reach out for help, right? They never end up getting mental health treatment in the first place.
And it seems like there's a lot of them that end up doing it when you ask the friends and the family members, everybody's like, I had no idea.
Right.
There was no sign of it at all.
Right. Right. And they've never sought the mental health treatment that could probably save many, many lives. Right. And so I'm, obviously I'm biased because I'm a whole psychologist, but I highly encourage everyone to reach out.
We have to stop this taboo of thinking that going to get mental health is, going to work on your mental health is a bad thing, because it's not.
It's not at all. Everybody needs mental health treatment. I don't care how functional you think you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody needs it.
Yeah.
To some certain extent in their life. Everybody can benefit from it.
So let's make a pact today, folks, that we're going to end that taboo. Go talk. Go get mental health. Reach out to Saarah and her team. TampaCW.com. It's going to be in the show notes below. Saarah, I got one more question I got to ask you.
Sure.
Big question. You're on a show called The Decision Hour.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to make decisions every single day. Name a time in your life where your feet are on the line and you have to make that decision. What is it, and what's the atmosphere like at that time?
I love this question, Adam. I really do.
Well, thank you.
I would say, I'll tell you a little story that really genuinely shaped who I am as a psychologist.
Okay.
And I will say allowed me to be who I am. When I first was going through the motions of becoming a psychologist, I was attempting to be the psychologist that I saw other psychologists being, particularly in the VA. Very buttoned up, very professional, very by the book. I was cosplaying a professional, if you will.
Okay.
And I thought I was doing the right thing. And I felt numb, to be honest with you. I felt numb. I felt so fake. I didn't feel genuine, but I felt like this is who I need to be in order to fit in with the professional that I'm becoming. And that was around the time when I was in internship at the Bay Pines VA. And I walked into a room full of veterans. And I was, doing my evidence-based treatment thing, writing on the board. And they were like, have you ever done drugs before? Right? Have you ever been to prison? Like, what do you know about life, little girl? They were very real with me.
Yeah.
And I was like stuck. Like, I was like, because like, honestly, the truth is like, I have done drugs before. You know what I mean? I had lived a lot of life. I had been homeless at one point. Right. But I didn't feel like I could share those things in that room, right, because of the mask I was trying to wear at the time. And the next day, and I thought about it all night, I could not shake this. I could not shake this, what these veterans had done to me and said to me and asked me. And I decided in that moment, I said, I'm going to align with this person, this mask, or I'm going to align with who I actually am. And I think my clients are going to respect me more for it, even though it's not like this perfect person. And so I went into that room the next time and I said, you know what, guys, I really appreciate you asking me those questions, because like, here's the truth of it. Here's how I worked through all of that. And that's why I feel like I want to be here with you in it. And from that day on, I decided I'm going to cuss in my sessions. I'm going to like tell like the truth of who I am in my sessions. I'm going to be who I actually am. And I am not shy to say that those veterans, I think, saved me, because I genuinely think I would have been a depressed psychologist if I wasn't able to be my full authentic self. And so I would genuinely say, as much as I have helped veterans, like they have helped me become like the best version of myself.
Fucking love that. Folks, that's probably the biggest mic drop we've had on this show. That was so dope.
Thanks.
I love it.
It's true.
Folks, reach out. TampaCW.com. It's in the show notes. You're going to hear a lot from Saarah moving forward. 2026 is going to be a big year. There's a lot of work to do. My friend, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for taking time to be here with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Adam. This has been awesome.
Folks, we're out of time. Again, go check out Tampa Counseling and Wellness. It's tampacw.com. Also, go check out our parent network, Heroes Media Group. Check out all the new shows. Got some new articles up there. And we're working on a calendar for 2026 because we're going to be all over the damn place. So stand by for that. Until next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.